Welcome to BAM It with John Michael and Mari, covering all things business, accounting, management, marketing, and IT, the place where businesses and entrepreneurs find the forest through the trees.
Hello and welcome to BAM It. This is Mari Peterson with Marketing Outpost, and of course
me. Is that my cue? And John Michael with Peridot Consulting.
So today we have another episode of Billisms. And if you don't know what a Billism is, you can listen to prior episodes. The one called Introduction to Billisms will tell you who is Bill Kelly and what are these Billisms. But in today's episode, we're going to talk about what, Bill?
Well, today I thought we'd talk about working on your business versus in your business.
So what is that like?
I find that most business people get caught in the trap of working in their business. They feel that it's important for them to have touch points, to work within the business and spending time doing the menial task versus on the business. And when you talk to business owners, why are you doing that? A lot of times it's an aha moment for them. They don't realize that they're working in their business as much and not on it. And then when you ask them, well, what's your business plan? Well, I don't have time to do that. Not having time to plan is planning to fail. And oftentimes, business owners do not look at it that way.
Yeah, so, this is something that a lot of self-employed people have issues with, for lack of a better term. And what I mean is that when you first go out and you're first self-employed and I'll use me as an example. When you're an accountant, well, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do all these tax returns. It's what I do. But now that you're self-employed, you've got to equally work on your business. You've got to equally plan. You've got to equally network. You've got to equally do marketing. You've got to do things that otherwise, as an employee, you wouldn't be having to do. So sometimes people get caught working in their business and they're not working on it. And sometimes that, as a self-employed person, that's an extremely important part of being self-employed.
Conversely, I saw this in larger organizations, especially when there is, let's say, an absence of leadership or management. Somebody leaves the organization and there's been a huge change in some way. Sometimes the leaders do step in and they start to work in the business. The problem is that once that gap is filled, they forget that they need to step back out and manage or work on the business. So I see that in both self-employed and in larger organizations.
You're absolutely correct, Mari, and that's a very good point that you bring up, is that due to whatever reason that you find that leadership and manager will jump in there and help out. The operative word is help out, but then they can tend to get stuck in that as a routine. It's a daily thing, or it's a thing they do all the time. And I'll share a couple of things that have happened in my life with that. I'm the type of person, I've been stuck in that. I'll help out. And two things are going to happen. I've had employees and come up to me and say, Mr. Kelly, we really appreciate you helping, but what you're doing is that you're saying to me that really I can't do this task, so you're jumping in, and you're really, in some ways, it's demoralizing to that employee, is that you constantly are in there helping out, and they finally get to a point, well, gosh, I can't do this job, so I'll just turn it over to you and let you do it. The second thing that I share with leadership is that when that is happening, pause for a second and look over your shoulder and see how many people are standing around watching you. I mean, people that are working within the organization that should be doing what you are doing before you have to get in there to do it. So again, don't get caught in that trap, okay?
If you've ever been accused of being a micromanager, that is your first clue that maybe you're spending too much time working in the business instead of on the business. Now, for self-employed people, let's talk about that for a minute, Bill. What would you say are good examples where they themselves get caught in that same trap?
I think self-employed, I think it starts with, what is your time worth? As a leader, as a manager, and leader of your company, what is your time worth? And time meaning if you're in business, of course, you're there to bring money into your business. So how much money could you be bringing into the business versus sweeping the floor? How much money could you be bringing into the business versus going to the store to buy materials and supplies for your company? So again, it starts with right there. What is your time worth? If you have employees, I've seen leadership get caught in the trap of, I don't have time to train. Well, if you trained and develop your people, you would find all kinds of time, because now they're doing the tasks that you've normally been doing, where you can concentrate on working on your business versus in your business. But so many times, and it frustrates me, I hear people say to me, I don't have time to train. Find time to train. Once you train them, you'll find all kinds of time to be able to work on your business.
I love that. Now I want to give you an example and see what you say. I heard something this week that I hear quite often, but nobody else can do what I do. What do you say to that? I'll
say this. I've heard people say that. So what you're doing is you're building a system around a person. When that person goes away, then the company can't function. Okay, let me ask and answer that question in this respect. How many times have we had a president of the United States get assassinated in this country? And at that point, people have said, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. We're going to collapse. Well, here we are today. So when you start thinking that way, then are you more important than a president of the United States?
Good point. And then I guess you take a better tack than I did. I said, no, you're not that special. And then I had to follow that up with, no, I didn't mean it in the way that I said it. But I think when you set yourself up for being the only person that can do something, what that really means is you're not willing to relinquish and to delegate and to take the time that you're talking about to work on the business versus work. They're enjoying the working in the business because it's easier than working on the business.
I like both things. What you first said is that you can't take the time. That says to me is that you're insecure. There's an insecurity problem going on, is that you feel that you will be able to be replaced. A lot of not even business owners, managers feel that way when you say develop the people. Well, gosh, if I develop them, what am I going to do? Well, let me share something else with you. If you're within an organization, a large organization, and you want to move up in that organization, you're going to pigeonhole yourself because you're the only one that could do that job. And so your boss is going to constantly look at, well, I can't promote you because you're the only one that could do that job. So again, you're going to pigeonhole yourself.
So we're talking about, people that are within organizations, how that can backfire if they're working within it. But the common thread we get with a lot of, when we do our roundtable series, is we get a lot of people basically that are stuck with this conundrum. And that's why this is a Billism that's been coined, where a lot of them just get stuck churning the wheels of working in their business, and they've never really taken a step back to start working on their business.
So let me ask you a question on that, John Michael and Bill. A lot of our clients are self-employed individuals where they are it. And so they will tell you, I don't have the time to juggle between the work that needs to be done, and then you're asking me to take time to step back and work on my business versus in my business. What do you tell that person?
I tell that person they need to look at their time management. It again goes back to one of the things I've said when we're in our conversation is, what's your time worth? Look at the task. If you're a sole individual in your business model, then I would suggest you sit down with a yellow legal pad, you put it beside on your desk, and every time you do a task, you write it down. It's not a laborious process where I'm asking you to sit there and write every doggone task down, but as it occurs, write it down. And when you can no longer have anything else to input at, it could take a few days, it could take a week, then take a look back at that after you analyze what is your time worth, and then look at that task list that you're accomplishing and what can you delegate off. If you're going to the parts store to pick up parts, do they deliver? Quit going there. Okay, who can you delegate? How can you delegate these responsibilities off so you can focus on working on your business, not just in it?
And I mean, we come across that a lot, and it's the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what I mean is, if you're doing well, you're making good money, and yeah, you're busy, you're working in your business and fine, but most people aren't asking that question because they're doing great. And if you're in a situation where you're just so busy, you don't have time to do anything, but your business is going downhill, then yeah, Bill's advice is very pertinent. You're working in your business, you're caught in the churn, you're wasting the time. It gets back to if you guys listen to our podcast on the 80-20 rule about time management, all those things can be pertinent. So at the end of the day, if your business is failing and you're so busy, then obviously you're busy doing the wrong things.
And I would also add to that something that Bill kind of mentioned earlier, which is keeping track of your time is an excellent idea. I do that. I picked up that habit from working in law firms where we had to track everything we did, including the administrative time. And so in my own business, I keep up with all my time, even the time that I spend on my own business versus in somebody else's, and including the free work that I often get roped into doing or I just want to do. And I also think that telling somebody, hey, you're the only one, so you can't do this, actually meaning you're the only person in your business, that means you're the leader and the manager. And what you need to do is change the hat and say, I'm a leader. If I am so busy that I do not have time to work on my business, then that means you have reached a point, a crossroads, where you should consider hiring or outsourcing or getting some additional help.
Very well said and great advice. And I'll add this one final thing, is that I'm reminded that when we do our business roundtables, as John Michael said, we have had independent business people there that they are the only ones that work within their business. And one of the things we do in our roundtables, we ask people how many people have a to-do list. And of course, everybody raises their hands. And we say, okay, why don't you take a few minutes, take your to-do list, and let's think about making a to-be list. And I pause because that's exactly what happens is everybody pauses and looks at us like deer in the headlight kind of look. But point being is, what is a to-be list? Why did you go in business to begin with? What is your why? And a lot of people went in for personal satisfaction. They went into it to have a better life and all that. And then we ask, how you doing on your why? And we find that a lot of people, if they can't answer that, then we say, when's the last time you had a vacation? Oh, I don't take vacations. When's the last time you spent time with your family? Oh, I don't do that anymore. Okay, so your to-be list is all about being in your business and not the other side, which is your personal side, which is what picks you up and motivates you and heals you so that you can have a clear vision on your business. So again, looking at that, working on your business will allow you to have a to-be list versus a to-do list.
Yeah. So basically, this is we've come up with great examples of what the difference between working in your business and working on your business. How it's a common thing, and I love this Billism because it brings to light or defines in many ways what can be a problem in many people's business is that they're just stuck working in their business and not working on it.
Thank you, Bill. I think actually we got a twofer in here. We got the working in your business versus working on your business, and we also got a second one, which was the be list versus to-do list. Yeah. So I'm going to leave with that. As you depart here, think about your to-do list and then think about your to-be list.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you guys for joining us today. Please be sure to review this episode. For more information on who we are or this podcast, please visit www.bammit.com. That is BAMM-IT.com. And thank you guys.
The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional advice and is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts and guests of this podcast may make terrible attempts at being funny, and this podcast does not defend the merits of this humor, nor does it guarantee that the humor will be successful. It is not guaranteed that you will find this as entertaining as the hosts find themselves. Welcome to BAMMIT with